Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the One and D podcast. I'm your host Vikash, joined by my co-host Sagar, and today we've got that esteemed guest back once again. He is at the forefront of fashion. His name is Kunal. How you doing, bruv?
Good. Thank y'all for having me. How are y'all?
Hey, can't complain.
Yeah, we're doing pretty
So,
good.
so it seems as though you've started your fashion brand.
Yes, that is correct.
How exciting! What a venture!
Website is up. Check out the latest merch. LTWKBRAND.com. Check me out.
So, LTWKBRAND.com, LTWKbrand.com.
Yeah.
So, what is the meaning behind your brand? What does LTWK stand for? Give us like the whole rundown.
Yeah, okay. So LTWK stands for Let the World Know. And our slogan is, You are a shining star, let the world know. And so essentially, like the whole message behind the brand is to, embrace individuality, embrace your uniqueness, know that you matter, and that no matter what you're going through, that you are special and that you deserve a place in this world. So we tried to make designs that have like positivity themed like aspects around it, and then we try to like promote positivity through our apparel.
Hey, that's something I can get behind, man. Everybody, check it out, please. But last time you came on the podcast, it was 3 podcasts ago, podcast number 10, and since then, and that came out around May 3rd, and since then you just accelerated your process. Like that back then, you maybe had one design and you were thinking about starting your brand, but then once you had the resources in front of you, once you figured out, hey, there are these services that I can utilize, you went full throttle and your brand was up within like a week and a half of that podcast.
Yeah, well, because like I had been thinking about doing it for like a couple months, and then like when we filmed that earlier podcast, like I already had one design in mind, as you said, and then after that podcast, I was like, okay, I have the time right now to start focusing on it. So essentially, what I did is just like literally every single day, I would just work on new designs, like research, like drop shipping methods, how to start your own clothing brand, took advice from like you guys and everyone else. And then I just like started working on it nonstop. I barely took any breaks. Like every single day from like morning to night, I was just working on coming up with how to create new designs, how to start like the process. And like because of that, I was able to get it up pretty quickly from then.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. Because I remember my amazing cousin told me about about Printful. And then once I showed you Printful and you were like, wow, I can actually do this pretty easily and then get from A to B in like the matter of a week, you just literally, I think, accelerated it at such a speed that it was awesome that you got your store up in like literally a week. Because I remember how you are very into something is when you lose sleep because you're excited to work on the brand, right? Because I remember before you would be like, I have to get like, I'm going to take advantage of this time, get 10 hours of sleep. But then you were like, yeah, I'm waking up real early. I got to get the site going, got to get these designs. And you were extremely passionate about it. And that was awesome to see.
Yeah, like if you know me, I need my sleep. I get like 10 hours of sleep. I'd be waking up super late. And like this is the first time in a while where I would actually set my alarm before like 11 o'clock, which I know is still pretty late, but that's early for me. I'll be setting my alarm clock before 11 to actually wake up and start working on the brand, which is kind of shows you like where my mind's at on this. I think it'll work. I'm positive.
And that's something I feel like a lot of people should be taking advantage of in this time where, yeah, it's a great time to relax. It's a great time to gather yourself, but it is also a stressful time. People don't have jobs. It's hard to get a job. And, a lot of people just graduated, and because of coronavirus, it's just tough to do anything. And so instead of thinking of it as some sort of negative, use it as a positive. Use the time that you have and do something that you've said. There's so many people that say, I always want to do this, but I don't have the time. I want to do this, but I just can't get to it. but now's the time to pursue those like side passions or side hustles, even if it's just creating a business plan if you want to create a business, or learning how to trade stocks if you want to learn how to trade it. Like, so many people have told me that they wanted to learn but they just don't have the time to. But now is an opportunity. You don't even have to put your own money into the stock market. You could just use um, fake money and paper trading on something like Webull, which is pretty straightforward. And so now is the opportunity to pursue those side hustles that you wanted to always pursue.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
would definitely agree with that as well. Like, so fun fact, we are also working on a up and coming website, following the same steps as Kunal, and we have our ideas as well. We'll have some One Indie podcast merch on there. We have like all these ideas. And like this time where we get to stay at home more, we definitely get to like pursue those things. Like one of the things I'm really trying to learn, since like I've never really been a coder or like a programmer, like I know Python will be so useful for all these things, like especially down the road when we're trying to do more advanced things. So like I'm really taking time now to learn Python and develop that. So I can apply that to other things, like you said, trading stocks. With Python, I could make something automated. With Python, we could make it easier to, for example, shop on a site or something. So yeah, now is definitely the time to take advantage of all this free time people have and really put it towards something that is useful and that will help you learn. Like with you, Kunal, right? Well, you walked
Yeah.
into this with like zero experience. You had no idea how to make a website. You had no idea, how you should sell merch, what you should price it at, what margins you want, and
How
like
to
basically
design the merch as well.
exactly
Yeah.
designing it. Learning the software for it. Like when we were talking, you had these struggles with Illustrator, and it's really funny. You're always frustrated with it, but you're sticking with it, right? You're putting in the
Yeah.
time. You go over those speed bumps, and then now, like within like 3 weeks, you have a fully functional site which you can sell your merch and your designs off. So it's just amazing what you can do with your time, and you're like an example of someone who used it to the max for sure.
Yeah. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you're
mean,
big balling, man.
yeah. Like when I first started, like you said, I had no idea how to use Adobe. To be honest, like maybe I shouldn't even admit this. I didn't even know what Adobe Illustrator was. I thought you used Photoshop to like create like all these logos. So I like researched that, and like once I found out about Adobe Illustrator, it was like a tough process. It was like endless hours of watching YouTube videos to like figure out how to work it. But like after a couple months, I got the hang of it, and like it started to work out for me.
And another thing I want to say is that along the process, you had questions, right? And if I had the answer to them, I would be grateful to answer them for you. But you would always say, "I feel bad, but I want to say this. I feel bad, but I want to do this." But I think if anybody were pursuing something, it's good to ask questions so you don't. It's good to figure stuff out on your own, but at the same time, if you can save yourself some time by asking someone a question, I feel like that's the way to go. You shouldn't feel bad for asking a question because a lot of the time people like to answer questions. People like to help other people, and especially when the person you're asking can see that you're passionate about what you're doing, then I think it's even better because they'll be way more inclined to answer your questions because they know that it's going to someone who is really enjoying what they're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. And it really applies to all aspects of life if you think about it. So when I was doing my internship at Cineverse as a business analyst intern, I came in really not knowing any SQL. And during our first day of orientation, one thing, HR and our team members who, the teams we would be going into, like the number one thing they said is don't be afraid to ask questions. We're here to help. So really just being curious and asking questions really is an essential part of becoming successful at something, because the only way to grow is to learn, and no one's ever going to have all the answers. Like you're not going to start something and then know like right off the bat how to do this, how to do that. It's a learning process, and there's always going to be people there willing to help you, and they'll be even more willing if they see, like you said, that you're putting your all into it and you're really trying to make some impact on what you're trying to do and what you're trying to learn. So yeah, this idea of like asking questions is definitely something that applies to everything people do, be it whether it be school, whether it be, in the business world, maybe at an internship, even if you're trying to create designs or something, and there's like some kind of standard protocol people use, or there's some kind of standard practice that's in place, learning those things and being open to absorb that information will just result in you being better at what you're trying to accomplish.
No, yeah.
And it's tough, right? Like, it's tough to get up to someone who has the expertise and ask them questions because you just feel like a burden. But a lot of the times to them, it's just one of these one-off things. It's like, oh, hey, here's how it is, and then they move on. Versus how you think of it is as, like, you have the questions burning in your mind. I'm more so saying it in the workplace, right? You have the question, you want to go ask someone, and you're just like, oh, should I ask right now, or should I ask in like 5 minutes? They look kind of busy. Should I do this now, or maybe later? But like, you should just ask the question so that you can move on with your time. You can better use your time, and they can better use their time. They'll answer your question because they know that that'll make the workflow more efficient. And then if they can't answer it now, they'll answer it later. Like, I ask so many questions at work because I'm nowhere near the expertise level as everyone else on the team. So the beauty of being, the newbie on the team is that you can literally ask anyone a question, and like, if they can't answer it, maybe someone else can, or if they can't answer it, just move on to the next one, or just wait to get the answer to your question, because you need the most efficient process possible, and answering questions helps in your process.
And I think the other part of that is, in turn, like, you can be the one asking questions, but there's times when people are asking you questions. And the beauty of, like you're saying, answering questions as well, is that you learn as you're explaining something, right? So what I found to be like the most effective way of learning something is not just to absorb it from someone, but explain it back, maybe to them or someone else who's curious, because that way it's like ingrained in your mind, and you're like solidifying that knowledge so that you remember it. And just, for example, in school, like in undergrad, I was taking some of the like most detailed notes in the class for certain classes, and so there would be a bunch of people coming to me and asking me questions, because a lot of those classes were based off the lecture notes, right? And so what I found was, as I was explaining those notes, studying became a lot easier because it was like already ingrained in my mind that I'm explaining something. So really, both aspects, answering questions and asking questions, is a super important part of just learning in general.
And that's what's helped. Like, so Kunal asked quite a few questions, right? But that's what helped in the process currently in creating our own store and the design and whatnot. So it's awesome to ask questions. But let's move back to Kunal's store. I want to ask you, Kunal,
Mm-hmm.
what has been maybe some of the most troubling or tough parts of creating your own store?
I mean, one would be like the unfamiliarity. So, like, first of all, like getting used to Illustrator, then getting used to how Printful works, and then getting used to like how Shopify works and how to build my own website. Because like I had never, I had never used like Shopify or Printful or anything like that. Assumed that I'd be able to learn it in like a couple hours, but it took me like a lot longer than that to like figure out all like the kinks and stuff. So that's one big problem. I know that another one is like I I guess I have a tendency to try and please everyone. So like I love hearing feedback from other people, but when I get like feedback that conflicts between two people's point of views, then I don't know how to go about it, and I end up just trying to like I end up wasting my own time trying to please everyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that's something you gotta tackle, right, as you're going on, because for a brand, it's a public facing thing, and you want to please people because you want people to, not, I don't think it's more in the sense that you want people to buy your stuff, it's that you want people to enjoy the products that you're putting out. And so,
Yeah, so like I know that I like see the thing is every single design that I come up with, like I put time and effort into it and I like all the design. So like it's kind of hard getting used to like putting out a design and hearing someone say, "Oh, I don't really like this one," or "Oh, this one is kind of garbage." Like, I mean, I understand like you don't like it, and like there's like one specific design that I have. I'm not gonna say which one, but there's one that a lot of people have like given me negative feedback about. And the thing is, I think that design's pretty cool and I like it, but like I got to take that into account that people are saying, "Yo, Kunal, this design is not good." So like, it's just like a process on learning how to like accept criticism.
So, off of that, I have a question for you. Like,
Yeah.
when you're in the process of creating a new design,
Hmm.
how much does that negative feedback you had on that design impact your current design? Like, are
I mean,
you creating a new design to please yourself? And if you're satisfied with it, it's a good design? Or is that impacting how you're creating new designs?
no, it actually has no impact on how I create new designs because all the new designs I come up with are stuff that I think is cool. And then once I publish it, like, so every single design that I've made so far, no one's opinion has influenced it, right? Like they're all my like likings and my creation. It only impacts me after the fact when I upload and someone says it's bad. If someone says it's bad, then I understand it. If I get a significant amount of negative feedback, I'll delete it. But I don't take into account people's suggestions in terms of creating new designs, right?
And you
So
know
like when
what?
I
Yeah. I think,
yeah,
sorry to interrupt, but I think that's the
mhm,
right approach, right? You want to go
yeah,
into something, and at the end of the day, art is like subjective, right? It's like based on them if they like it or not. So there's really
yeah,
nothing you can do to control that. So I feel like as long
yeah.
as you're satisfied with it, it's like a banger design, right?
Hmm. Yeah, like that's the thing. Like I mean, it's so much more easier for me to say that I'm not gonna let people's word get to me, right? Like I can say that, oh, I'm not gonna get sensitive, or oh, I'm not gonna like react negatively to like uh criticism or constructive criticism, but like I know me as a person, I'm kind of like sensitive and I take like some of the stuff they say like to heart. So I got to work on that. But like for me, the biggest thing right now is since it's my fashion right now, I want to do it the way that I want to do it. So the designs I create are designs that I really like, and I just create designs that I think look cool and have some sort of like symbolic meaning of spreading positivity. And that's all I'm trying to do with the brand right now. Like right now it's more about putting the time into my designs to create something that I like and something that I think will resonate positively and like spread positivity towards other people instead of like listening to what other people want on their designs and just like creating merchandise that are other people's designs. You know what I mean? Like if someone has an opinion and they say, "Kunal, you should definitely make one of these shirts. I'll only buy your stuff if you make this shirt." Like I'm not gonna take that into account unless it's like a really cool idea and I also like it. Like if they tell me, just for example, to like make a shirt with my name on it and like a really cool font, I'm not gonna do that because like that's not something I want to do and like it doesn't really relate to the brand at all. But I mean, if they give me an idea that like I think is really cool and it has like aspects that I like, then I'll take it into account. But right now I want to focus on more so like individuality.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
that's awesome,
I would
man.
agree with you for sure. And like just based on our convos, we've been in Discord, for like every night basically since this is where we talk and stuff.
Yeah.
And you've been sharing your designs with us. You've been showing us like the process of your design, and we've bounced off ideas. Like I remember one of your newer designs, which is really cool. Check it out on his website. It's like the igloo turtle, super cool design. And
Yeah.
like I had the suggestion that, hey, maybe work in some of your brand colors into the igloo. And so like
Uh
we bounce off those ideas, and that bouncing off and like brainstorming is a cool aspect of it. And at the end of the day, like you tried that and you're super receptive, and if something doesn't feel right with you, you have that standard of like, okay, this is not going to be on there. So yeah, it's definitely, you're definitely taking control, and at the same time you're balancing like creative feedback as well. So I think you're doing a great job there.
yeah. And like I know like just to like one of the biggest issues is like now that I started this brand, like, people are trying to essentially they're telling me, oh, Kunal, these designs are really cool, but you should do this, and then they try and like give me ideas on how to change like my design currently. I mean, I'm open to that, but one thing that people don't understand is like they don't realize that some of the things that they say is not as constructive as they think they are. Essentially, they're telling me indirectly to change the entire concept of my design to where like it looks like nothing like it was before, right? So that's one thing I gotta like start learning how to adapt to and like how to deal with that. That
Right, and
so yeah, essentially that's the biggest issue is like the fact on learning how to take people's criticism not to heart and like try and incorporate it in a constructive way.
you'll learn over time how, like, some people will have constructive criticism and some people will just have criticism that
Hmm.
isn't the most constructive, that won't help towards your design. And you'll know between the two because sometimes you'll take it to heart. And I mean, you'll learn over time to not take everything to heart because you'll be getting a lot of criticism. You'll
I
be
know
getting a
it's
lot of
hard though.
feedback. I
It's
mean,
hard.
definitely, right? It's not a natural thing to, because this is coming from your close friends and people who, you interact with all the time, and for them to say something to you about your design, it's understandable to take it to heart, right?
Yeah.
And then even further, when you have random people who are going to be leaving reviews and saying things about your brand, you'll have this negative feedback coming in, but it's easy to get consumed by the negative feedback, whereas you should match that negative feedback with the amount of positive feedback you're getting, because you're getting a lot more positive feedback than negative, I feel like, right now. And people are coming at you, they're saying, hey, good job, dude. Creating your own brand is not an easy thing to do. And and also you have to also consider the fact that the people who are giving you the criticism, they don't know the entire process, or they may not completely understand your brand yet. And as you keep talking to them, as you keep pushing your brand, they'll learn about the message you're trying to portray, and then maybe they can give you even more constructive criticism rather than, say, hey, completely change this logo. They don't know the process in creating a logo. They don't know the process in putting that logo onto the t-shirt and selling it, and
Yeah.
marketing it and all that stuff. So the a lot of the criticism may come from, some quick, hey, I don't like this tiny aspect of it, or this and that. But once they understand it better,
Hmm.
they can start giving more constructive criticism. And honestly, I think you'll be fine. You're doing a great job in not taking it. I mean, in not portraying their criticism in your new work. You're still creating things that are true to you, true to your heart, true to your brand, and I think that's great. That's commendable and that's awesome that you're continuing on with what you're doing, and then you're still pushing it to the world, and you're putting yourself out there. That's also a commendable aspect of it. You're putting your designs out there, you're putting your hard work out there for the people to see, for the people to appreciate, and you know that criticism will come, but you've just got to take it. You've got to learn to adapt and figure out how to take that criticism and use it in a positive manner for your brand.
Yeah, you're right.
But let's say, what have been the most fun parts about creating your brand? What have you liked the most?
Um, I guess like your friends like texting you, being like, "Yo, these designs are fire," or like getting a text from one of your friends saying, "Yo, I just copped one. These designs are pretty cool." Like you're right. Like the positive, it's more important to focus on like the positive feedback right now since I'm just starting out, and I've had a lot of friends like retweet my post on Twitter, like my post on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that, and like they're leaving comments like, "Yo, Kunal, this is dope." And like, I was literally on a Zoom call yesterday with some friends from high school that I haven't seen in a while, and they were all just like, "Yo, Kunal, that's so cool." And they kept asking me all these questions, and like, they wanted to get to know more, and they kept telling me that, I'm going to be the next big clothing brand that everyone's going to be talking about. And,
Yes, sir.
to hear stuff like that, that's pretty cool. And to like, uh, know that people are actually out here supporting me and helping me achieve my goal is pretty amazing. Because like the the message that I'm trying to spread with this brand is like I think a message that everyone can get behind of. It's like embracing individuality and promoting positivity and letting everyone know that they are special and they matter, right? So it's so cool to see that people are getting behind this message and supporting me through like buying my merch and clothes and stuff like that.
And it's awesome to see like all the support that you're getting. It's you can you also, as much as the negative feedback gets to you, I can also see that the positive feedback is, getting to you as well, because we're on Discord, like Sagar said, every night talking about, hey, we're playing video games, but we're also talking about our brands and how we can push them, and criticisms about everything that we're putting out. And so you're mentioning the negative feedback, but you also mentioned how you appreciate that positive feedback. You're like, it's awesome that you're getting this good feedback as well, because that's also important, and that just shows you have great friends too,
Yeah.
that are supporting you and everything. So what do you feel about, let's say, like, you've learned Illustrator, you've learned like how to use Shopify and how to get a domain. Like before, you didn't know, hey, why do I need a domain and why do I need a website? Aren't they the same thing or something like that? You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
But now you know the nuances, you know the difference. The domain is separate. It's connected to your website and whatnot.
Yeah.
So learning all this stuff, has that been a fun process or more tedious? Like, do you now enjoy using Illustrator more than you did before, or is it still like something that you're like
Uh
frustrated from time to time?
I guess a little bit of both. I mean, like, because when I first started Illustrator, I had no idea what I was doing. But as I learned the process, it's now a lot easier for me to use. There's still like so, a lot of stuff that I don't know in Illustrator, but that's like understandable because I've only been doing it for a couple months. But
You know, one
some
thing
of it,
one thing I remembered was it just funny. Back when you were first starting, everyone has their growing pains, and I remember you were ranting about how you couldn't get a perfect circle for like 2 or 3 days, and like
yeah,
so you started with like not being able to do a circle for like 3 days, and now you're like putting out these designs that are fire like pretty
exactly,
consistently.
yeah.
So the growth is definitely there. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I did not know how to do make a perfect circle for a while, and that was very irritating. But no, it's some parts have been fun, like learning Illustrator. I mean, it was painful at first, but now it's so cool to see all the different things you can do in there and how to make these really cool graphics. I'd say um making the website and Shopify too was really cool to see like my website like turning into like an actual website one by one, and knowing that I can go back and edit it anytime, make it look essentially how I want to. Um, Editing it like to where I can put pictures wherever I want them, or like uh, all that. And I learned so much like nuances about websites too. It's stuff that most people, like most consumers, don't even notice. Probably, like what I'm trying to say is most consumers don't even know like the amount of like stuff that goes into creating a website, right? And I'm lucky because I use Shopify, so I didn't have to create it from scratch. Like I had a template to use, but I was able to use Shopify to create this website, and I got a bunch of positive feedback. Like when I dropped the website, so many friends text me, they're like, Kunal, this website looks so professional. How did you do it? Like literally one of my roommates like was texting me, and he was like, yo, I think me my I'm trying to come up with a business too, and I want to create a website. I'm gonna hit you up later when I get to Shopify and use it. I'm gonna need your expertise. And that's so cool because like a week ago or a month ago, I didn't even know how to create my own website. And now I have people texting me saying, yo, can you help me create your own website? So that's one of the more fun parts about it. But I would
Yeah, no,
say,
for
That's
yeah,
sure.
awesome, dude.
yeah, you also said tedious parts. I'd say trying to get my design exactly right on the t-shirt on Printful is probably the most tedious, because Printful is really easy to use. They give you a guideline, but that guideline is just what it is, a guideline. It's not an exact like replica of this is where you should put your design on the t-shirt to make it look perfect. They just have a suggestion of where you should put it. So like, I place it on the t-shirt, and I look at it from afar and it looks good. But then sometimes I doubt myself. I'll be like, does it really look good? Could it go like an inch to the left or an inch to the top, an inch to the right? And then when you start making those adjustments, you start getting really confused, and then you start Googling where am I supposed to put my left chest logo? How big is it supposed to be? And like every single website gives you a different answer. And what I've learned is that every single brand does it differently. Like if I take a shirt that I have, like a Ralph Lauren polo shirt and a Tommy Hilfiger shirt, each of their left chest logos are different sizes and they're placed like on the different size on the left side, right? So that doesn't help me at all in like kind of easing my tensions about it. So I just have to give it the eyeball test, and I know that like wherever I place it, as long as I follow their guidelines, it'll look pretty fire. And that's what I did. Like I used their mock-up generator, and I went through like literally I would say hundreds of like mock-up trials to see like where the exact like logo should be, and I finally figured it out for most of the designs, which I would say.
And
So that was the most tedious part.
yeah, and that shows like your not only passion, but you're trying to perfect it, right? You're trying to put it exactly how you imagine it in your head. And then I really like you're talking about like the nuances, like
Mm-hmm.
a little bit about, how like you're noticing how different components go into a website, and as you learn, you're finding these different things. And I'm sure like now if you go to like a different website, right? Like maybe you go to Amazon or you go to like Ralph Lauren and you want to maybe buy something there or get inspiration, you'll notice these different things that a month ago you may not have noticed on their website, right? Oh, look, okay, so they placed that over there. Like that's not a question you would have been like asking or even noticing a month ago, but like learning through this, it makes you sensitive to so many different things.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I've learned the same thing like through the podcast as well, right? So editing the audio for one thing, learning how to do that. And now we're going to be pushing some podcast clips on our YouTube channel as well. So like certain snippets of the podcast we can put on there with some video editing. And so now I'm like really getting into Premiere, and then editing Premiere. When I go watch other people's YouTube videos now, I'm more sensitive to the transitions they use, how their audio is, how long their clips are, and like how much background music they use and what volume they put it at. So just
Yeah.
learning about different things really expands your mindset and like really makes you sensitive to so many more things. It's definitely one of the better things about, learning about different things for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're
And
right. Exactly.
we've been talking about, all this, how you started, where you got to, and everything. But let's give like a quick 5 minute TLDR of the entire process. If you think you want to start your own clothing brand on your own website, here's a quick 5 minute TLDR. So let's say you have a concept. You got your concept design. You think, oh, I want to create a t-shirt. You need to design that concept. You need to design that. You can use a lot of different tools. You can use Photoshop, Illustrator, Paint if you really want to. And then from there, you need to find a service that will print that design on a t-shirt. So you can either do it in-house, you can buy your own t-shirts, buy a printing press and do it in that fashion, or you can find a print-on-demand service. And that's what us three, that's what we're leaning towards. We are using Printful currently, but we're also looking at other print-on-demand services as well. And essentially what that does is they give you the infrastructure to pick a shirt, pick a color of the shirt, and put your design on that shirt. And then they'll store that information for you. And from there, you need to find a place where you want to sell your shirt. And now there are many different places where you can sell. You can make your own store on something like Shopify. Or you can use another website like Etsy or eBay to sell your designs, where you won't have to put up your own storefront. You just utilize someone else's storefront. Or you can use something like Tscape, which I don't personally like because I don't know how much of the intellectual property you get to keep. But Tscape is another option.
I think you
Something
mean
of that sort.
Teespring.
Teespring. Yes,
Yeah,
I believe that's
Teespring.
what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
Teespring.
yeah, Tscape is something that you can use with Shopify. My
Okay.
bad. And so from there, now you have your store. You've got your and you've got your designs. So you need to put your designs on said store using the print on demand service. and any order that gets placed on the store will be sent to that print on demand service. They will package, they will create the design on the shirt, and they will send it for you. And so from there, you've got your store, you've got your designs on your store, and you're selling. You need more people on your store, so you start the marketing process. And now that's where, Kunal, I'm thinking that's your next step, right? You want to start pushing the brand more after you're, established. You've got quite a few designs. You're happy with where it's at. You want to start marketing your design more. And that's where you can go to somewhere like Facebook ads, Google ads, Instagram ads, things of that nature, to push your design and get more customers on your store, get more clicks, get more people, get more eyes essentially, and maybe even get more shares. You know what I mean? And so from conception to reality, those are essentially the steps you need to take. From there, you can maybe, if you are established, you can find your own print mill or something of that sort. And there are different avenues you can take, but a quick 5-minute TLDR, that's how you start your own fashion store.
No, and definitely that's a great, TLDR. I think it's definitely something that we should have explained, and good job with that. And again, like you said, right, that's just the beginning. So there's so many aspects you have to consider. Again, this is such an open thing. Like, there's no direct path you would take to do this, right? So if you asked Kunal, for example, how he started it, his process may be different from yours. You may be using different softwares. You may have different things. I think a cool tip is, if you're a student at a major university, they offer you free Adobe services at most universities. Some do. Yeah. So take advantage of that, right? Ask your IT department through email if they do offer that, and go on your website. So definitely reach out and look for these different softwares. I think learning a software like Illustrator or Photoshop, for example, would be a good step in the creation process. And there's tools out there that you can look into. And again, hitting back on the asking questions aspect, ask questions. If it's someone not near you, or you may not have someone who has that information, there's a bunch of forums you could go to. You could use Reddit. You could go to different threads and different blog posts and things. There's so much information out there. There's online tutorials. YouTube is amazing. YouTube is basically where I learned how to trade stocks. So there's all these learning tools out there. You can take advantage of free resources and learn. And from there, your potential is limitless after that, because you can expand it to however big you want it to be. Of course, there's challenges with it, right? So you need to reach people. Your design needs to be compelling. But if you have a good product and you have a passion for it, you should be able to push it. And a great example of that is Kunal. From inception a month ago to now, he has a site that's fully functioning, completely professional looking site, amazing designs, amazing products. So now's the time to take advantage of this free time we have due to the pandemic and social isolation. And it's definitely something that helps you learn. So yeah, it's definitely something you should consider doing.
And it's definitely not something that's, let's say, easy. I mean, in essence, it is. In essence, the overall process you can get done pretty quickly, but you have to put in the man hours. Kunal put in the man hours every single day to get it to where it's at right now. He worked. He put in a shift, let me tell you. He would get on Discord, he'd be like, yeah, I got up early this morning and I've been working on it all day. And then sometimes he'd be frustrated. He'd come on and he'd say, dang it, I was working on something for 3 hours and I wasted all 3 hours because it was just 2 clicks that I had to do. Those are the nuances that you have to go through. It's not, it sounds easy, but you still have to, there's learning in between. And there's different ways, like Sagar said, to do all the processes. Your Shopify store, you could go into the code and edit the website to make it exactly as you want it to be, which is what I'm getting, a little hung up on personally. But because I'm not the best coder, right? I know a little bit of CSS. I know a little bit of HTML. Shout out Ashish. He helped me with the CSS learning back in the day in a competition that we went to. But, and Ashish, he'll be on our podcast in a little bit. He's a computer engineer. Really cool guy. But yeah, so it's not to diminish anything that Kunal's done, because he's put in all the work in creating the website as quickly as he has. And you've just got to be passionate about it. But also piggybacking, whatever, off of what you said earlier, Sagar. Sagar and I went to the University of South Florida. Kunal went to the University of Florida, USF being the superior school. And from USF, they offered so many free softwares through Microsoft a couple years ago, and every year your licenses would get refreshed. Like you could download a bunch of different softwares. It's gotten worse now, but I think before I haven't checked in a while. I would download literally everything, even things that I never considered I would use. And now I just have all these things that I can use. Like I have a Microsoft server little download that I have that I can utilize because I want to create. I'm in cybersecurity, so I want to create my own environment and see if I can attack that environment and look at the logs that come from it. And so you never know when you're going to use the tools that you can that you can get for free from these universities. These are things that you have to pay for usually, but universities offer them for free. Download everything. Like I have 2 or 3 more versions of Windows 10 that I can use because I downloaded it from USF. You never know when you have to use those. And so definitely download everything because there's so much opportunity in that. There's so much potential that comes from all those software because they're very powerful, and that's a great opportunity that nobody should miss.
And I think a great point about that is like, say you're passionate about something, but it's not necessarily creating a merch store or creating your own fashion brand. Like, say maybe you want to create a YouTube channel, or you want to, make beats, or like, I don't know, do comedy or stand up or whatever you want to do. All these softwares are pretty flexible to do that. Like, you can use it for creating designs. You can use it to record audio. You can use it to edit video too, like I'm doing. So they're so flexible, and they're a strong tool you can use to help build your passion into something that's tangible. And it's really something you should take advantage of.
Yeah, I agree.
So wait, how did you get all the Adobe products? Did you get it from your school, Kunal?
Yeah, UF sent us an email saying because of the coronavirus, we're giving you like a 90-day free trial of Adobe products. And I think one of my friends had texted me saying, yo, utilize this. So I was like, okay, bet. And like I downloaded it and it was free for 90 days. I don't know when.
Okay, that's interesting.
I don't know when the trial ends, so I got to figure that out soon. Hopefully,
probably 90 days after you got it.
No, yeah, but I forgot. I forgot when I bought it, so hopefully it wasn't like close to 90 days ago, and they don't just like shut it down on me. I gotta make sure I figure out when I bought it and then update it.
Honestly, there's probably somewhere in your school that you could get like a full copy of it, because like it was pretty easy for Sagar and I to get the entire Creative Cloud suite for free from USF.
Yeah, and for us,
or
we
maybe
like
just USF is better.
Like we just yeah, that's true. But we also just Googled it, right? We're like, I literally Googled a USF free Adobe suite, right? And it took me to a USF page where I got to do it. And I'm assuming that since USF and UF are both like state institutions, they have a pretty standardized way of like getting software, and you should have it available to you. So definitely check, because if you go to the IT department, like on their websites, you like literally, I didn't need it. I just said, hey, I need it for a class. And they're like, okay, here you go, and they gave me a key. So they're pretty free with it, and you could definitely use it. So definitely check back with them, and definitely check, like any of our listeners, check with your university. Like, there's no risk in asking, right? Like, what's the worst they're gonna do? Say they don't have it? Like, so it's definitely something you should try reaching out for.
So we've talked about, before you made your store, to the process in making your store, to now your store is open. But what do you see in the future? Do you see anything, or is it just something that you're still going day by day and like figuring out as time goes on?
Yeah, I mean, since I just started, I'm going to take it day by day. And like right now for me, the focus is in profits. Like, it might sound corny, but right now I'm focused more on like giving back, right? So I want to make sure that everyone who's buying it knows that like I support, like their support means the world to me, and that like this brand is more than just focused on making money. It's like focused on making a difference in the community. So like I think it's so cool right now that I'm having friends and like close family members and people that are close to me wearing something that I created. You know what I mean? Like that's amazing that I can go hang out with my friends and one of them might be wearing a shirt that literally I created. So right now for me, I'm taking it step by step, figuring out how to get like the word out through social media, and then once I get like a certain amount of orders, then that's when I'm going to start working on the marketing to get it like beyond people who I know in my close proximity, right? Beyond like friends and family members, to like people whom I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I really don't know how to like start going about that, but like I'm Googling it, I'm asking like you guys and like other people who I know who are interested in like fashion and like marketing and stuff like that. And I mean, so far the response has been pretty great. I have a lot of people who told me that they'd tell their friends, they'd tell their coworkers, they'd like help help me get the word out. So I mean, that's pretty cool. I literally have one friend who told me he could get like 10 other friends to be interested in the brand. So I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. So right now it's focused on uh like I guess word of mouth spreading and less so on the marketing side. But once I get to that point, I'll get to that point.
And
And I think that's a great
yeah,
way to go about it,
for
because
sure.
you're right now you're getting your feedback and you're able to take that feedback and put it back into the store and figure out, hey, how can I get this to the best I can make it currently before I start investing back in and marketing to people that you don't even know.
Yeah, exactly.
And I like your point about, you're saying like you have no idea on how to market via social media, and you had no idea how to create a website a month ago. So it's a learning
Yeah,
process, right? So
yeah,
it's all about learning and creating something new. And that I really want to emphasize the point about, in early stages, it may be cool to like see, okay, you made this money and it's a profit that you can take home. But the longer perspective, or like viewing things in a more business sense, in this case, like reinvesting your profit back into the business, I think is the right move for sure. And
yeah, yeah,
it's something that we definitely plan on doing as well. I mean, a great example of what reinvesting can do is Mr. Beast on YouTube, right? That man has made so much money, but what he's doing with that money is not, splurging on like Ferraris and things for himself. He's reinvesting into the channel to grow it even more. So that foresight to take your money, not your money, but your profits, and not immediately realize the satisfaction of putting it in your bank account, but instead having the foresight to develop and grow your business even more, I think is definitely a sign of a successful business. So that's definitely something we're planning on doing as well. And I think it's the right move for long, sustainable growth.
yeah. I mean, I'm not really a person that really cares about money. Like if you know me, like that is literally not my number one priority. It's about uh I guess I'd say the biggest thing about me is I love helping other people. I love making other people happy. So like the fact that people are buying my clothes because they support the message or because they think the designs are cool, that means way more to me than making whatever amount of money I make on a shirt. And that's why like I know at the start of June I'm going to donate to a charity that focuses on the LGBTQ plus community, right? Because June is National Pride Month. And so like I'm more focused on giving back to others and helping those who are in like a I'm not sure what the right word is. Those who need the support right now in a time like
Aren't in the
this.
best situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, I completely agree with that. Right? There's no picture perfect cookie cutter way to do right in business, right? It's what you want to do. And I think that's a great cause. And I think that's definitely a great thing you're doing by making a donation to whatever charity you decide to
Hmm.
donate to, right? And I think
Yeah.
again, it's what you want to do, and as long as it's what you want to do, it'll be successful, right? Success is only measured by you. Um, if you if you don't want to focus on profits, for example, and you want to focus on impact, and you see that your company is making a greater impact, especially in the LGBTQ community, LGBTQ community, then that's successful to you, right? So don't let others influence those kind of things. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. I
Big
appreciate
ballin',
it.
man.
Appreciate
Let
it,
the
guys.
world know, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Make sure if you made it this far and you forgot the name of the website, it's ltwkbrand.com. Check your boy out. If you support the message, then I appreciate it. Give us a follow on social media. It's at LTWK_brand on Twitter and Instagram. And our Facebook page is, if you just type in "Let the World Know," it should come up.
Look at you, natural marketer up in here. You already know what you're doing, bro.
Yeah,
Exactly.
you're learning.
Okay, I see you, man. All right, well, I think that's a good place to end. We have been the 1ND podcast, and soon we'll have a website coming out called karmastyles.com. Stay tuned for that. Working real hard on that.
Yes, sir.
But in the meantime, check out ltwkbrand.com. That is the homies' fashion brand. It's gonna be up and coming. It's gonna be big. It's gonna be huge. They have amazing designs there. What's your favorite design, Sagar, on that for LTWK?
I gotta say, it's your logo on the left chest. That's the one I ordered. I think that's fire.
Yeah, I'd say that one's the most popular.
Yeah, and I just placed my order, waiting for it to come in.
Yes,
I think
sir.
another good note to have is that we're taking advantage of this time, but due to COVID, fulfillment on these things is also longer. So just a little tidbit there. So it's affecting the world for sure. There's positives that you can take by improving yourself, and of course, there's the overall aspect of the health and safety of everyone. So
Yeah.
So fulfillment times for those products will be a little longer than usual, but I think it's understandable given the current climate of the world.
Exactly.
My favorite logo on your site might be the there's a couple. I like your diamond logo. I like your globe logo with the fire in the middle.
Yeah, the Unusual World one.
Yeah, and then I think your turtle igloo, that one's fire.
Yeah.
Those three are probably my top three.
Thank you.
Do you have any favorites, or do you just want to keep it open ended? You know what I'm saying?
Let's see. Do I have any favorites? I mean, they're all nice, but there's one design that's not even uploaded yet that I've been working on a lot recently that I think is my personal favorite. You just gotta stay tuned and find out. You know what I mean?
Oh man!
Little teaser up here. You are a genius marketer,
dude. You're learning by the second, dude. You're learning by the second.
You're a natural.
Exactly.
Anyway, thank you for listening to the 1ND podcast. Visit ltwkbrand.com, ltwkbrand.com, and eventually Karma Styles. Follow LTWK Brand on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.